एक कन्फेशन के साथ शुरू करते हैं. You know for a fact that I have eulogized him in some of my videos. Correct? I've done this? Okay. And I've also taken the position, much to the anger of a lot of people, about reservations also. Right? I've said this at least in 2 places. I'll own up to each of these statements. I am not someone who's going to run away from what I've said. People evolve, that's a different issue, but I'll explain everything. Okay. 3, have I changed in my opinions? Because I can't criticize someone else unless and until I come clean on my own position in the first place. Okay, so what is my position? My position is, and I think I said this on the Times Now debate, that Dr. Ambedkar is a mixed bag. I said this very clearly. Okay, तो आप उनसे उन चीजों को चुनिए जो आपको लगता है कि आपकी विचारधारा से या फिर आपके एंड गोल से मेल खाता है. And never forget the fact that he didn't convert out of Hinduism. वो उसके बाहर नहीं गए. Okay. But I certainly agree that whenever his opinions on Hinduism are to be consumed, consume them not with a pinch of salt, but with a mountain of salt. And मैंने बुक में ये भी कहा है that I will not deny what has happened at a certain point of time to a certain community. I've said this very clearly. The idea is not to whitewash. डीकोलोनियलिटी के नाम पे आप किसी भी चीज को व्हाइट वॉश मत कीजिए. डीकोलोनियलिटी आपको फैक्ट्स को देखने की, इट्स एक्सॉर्टिंग यू टू टेक अ लुक एट फैक्ट्स, नॉट रन अवे फ्रॉम इट. डोंट पिक्सेलेट इट. यू हैव टू रियलाइज इसका बेसिक फंडा या प्रिंसिपल क्या है. मिनिमम 5000 ईयर हिस्ट्री है आपका, मिनिमम. ये एक साइन कर्व की तरह ऊपर नीचे जाता रहता है. सो यू हैव मेड सम मिस्टेक्स, एंड सम ऑफ दोस मिस्टेक्स मे नॉट बी एंटायरली एट्रीब्यूटेबल टू यू और योर फिलॉसफी, बट बिकॉज ऑफ एक्सटर्नल कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस. चाहे वो पर्दा सिस्टम हो या चाइल्ड मैरिज हो, जौहर हो या व्हाटएवर इट इज, you were effectively pushed. When you're constantly attacked for close to 1400 years, what it does to the collective psyche of a people, just think about it. Right? So, आपके जो systems हैं वो ossify हो चुके होंगे. उनका जो mobility या forward movement होगा वो रुक गया होगा. All of these aspects are there. And therefore, there is a decent chance that Dr. Ambedkar was speaking from a significant degree of anger. हो सकता है. Okay? Which is why I'm saying, इकोनॉमिक्स पे हो सकता है कि आप उनको थोड़ा और ज्यादा पढ़िए. लॉ पे मे बी टू सम एक्सटेंट. ओके, बट जब इतिहास या हिंदू धर्म की बात आती है, अंडरस्टैंड इट एज परहैप्स द एंगर ऑफ अ सर्टेन पर्सन. उसको सत्य मान के आप आगे मत बढ़िए. ओके, रेस्पेक्ट द सेंटिमेंट बट नॉट नेसेसरली द प्रोजेक्शन ऑफ फैक्ट्स फ्रॉम हिम. दैट इज द लिमिटेड पोजिशन. दैट वे you respect the sentiment of people who are affected, and you also reserve the right to say, but I disagree with you, where you say this has been the entire history of the civilization. वो हम मान नहीं सकते हैं क्योंकि वो सत्य नहीं है. Okay, that's one way of looking at it. 3, when I speak on reservations, people say, what is this? How can you use your own personal experience and say that because you have come from a low middle class family, you relate to what has happened to other people, and therefore you say they should be entitled to reservations? No. आप थोड़ा long term सोचिए. आपके पास एंटी कन्वर्जन लॉस नहीं है. नहीं है. जब भी आते हैं उनको कोई ना कोई उड़ा देता है. राइट? आई थिंक ओनली इन मध्य प्रदेश देयर इज एन अधिनियम ऑन धर्म परिवर्तन, एंड देयर इज वन इन ओडिशा, एंड दैट टू दे वर, बाय द वे, दे केम अबाउट इन द कांग्रेस रेजिम इन द 50s and 60s. ओके, पढ़ लेना उसको कभी. नाउ व्हेन दिस हैपेंस, व्हेन यू डोंट हैव दैट, एंड हर जगह से आपके लोगों को कन्वर्ट करने की कोशिश हो रही है इन वन वे और द अदर, इधर थ्रू फोर्स और व्हाटएवर इट इज. एक ही जोकर है आपके एंटायर पैक ऑफ कार्ड्स में, which is reservation at this point. Right? I would say the day when your institutions, your religious institutions, have the freedom to use their money to subsidize education of all these people who are affected, the need for a reservation perhaps may be obviated on its own. क्योंकि स्टेट ये कभी नहीं करेगा. टेक दिस अगेन, ये स्टेट कभी नहीं करेगा, कोई भी सरकार नहीं करेगी. Therefore, इसका response society से आना चाहिए, wherein you are in a position to offer alternatives to reservation. Therefore, as opposed to state-based affirmative action, can you have a society-based affirmative action where the society takes responsibility for this and says, मंदिरों का जो पैसा है, जो रिसोर्स है, उसमें से 15 या 20% हम इसके लिए earmark करके रख देंगे. So वेद को भी पढ़ाएंगे, गौशाला भी चलाएंगे, और ये भी करेंगे किसी भी हालत में. And you treat this particular door or the slot as a revolving door, which means it's not necessary that the same community constantly benefits from this. If you think of, let's say, every society or every community moving in a certain direction, तो आज community X हो सकता है जो इसका beneficiary हो, कल कोई और हो सकता है, but within the Hindu fold, right? When you try and do that, you have solutions to offer. Now, what are we doing? We are taking a shot at this particular institution without offering a credible solution to the other real-time dangers that we have. That is where my entire position has come from. Okay, I'm not against merit. How can I be against merit, particularly when I know for a fact that the scope for merit is only shrinking further and further, pure merit. Okay, and I completely understand the angst of students who are aspiring for NEET or let's say post-graduation medical institutions. I'm not against you. I'm not against any of you. I'm merely taking a big picture position which is not limited only to you. So you may have a legitimate grievance against me for the positions that I've taken, but I'm looking at the big picture. And I'm hoping that if the society can give credible alternatives to reservation, then you can do away with it. But जब तक ये नहीं होता है, creamy layer आप ठीक से हटवा नहीं पा रहे, reservation को आप हटा देंगे. You're not even able to do this after a couple of generations of benefiting from that particular system. You have such a resistance. How is this going to happen? Because the state and parties have a very clear vested interest in talking about this on a regular basis, और ये इसको encourage करते जाएंगे. So the society has to talk. Who's going to talk about this? Right? So my entire evolution has been, I certainly believe that he has his merits, but he also has very serious problems in the manner in which he's taken pot shots at Hinduism. 100%. On those aspects, I don't agree with him at all. For that matter, I certainly don't agree with certain aspects of even Satyarth Prakash completely. How can I? But at the end of the day, because this happens to be Hindu dharma, हम fatwe तो जारी नहीं करेंगे. हम क्या कहेंगे? Sorry bhai, I disagree with you. I don't follow you. Period. So I've given this example before. Thanks for pointing it out. I've given the example. I'll just answer this question. One example I'll give and I'll leave it at that. जब भी दलित डिस्कोर्स की बात होती है या फिर रिजर्वेशन की बात होती है, it starts and ends with Dr. Ambedkar. When in fact that entire movement had a lot of other representatives. So I have even spoken of MC Raja, who was a Dalit representative from Trichirappalli, which is Trichy. When he was given the offer to convert to Christianity by the missionaries, they approached him and others. He says, आपको क्या लगता है? हम धर्म परिवर्तन के लिए लड़ रहे हैं? नहीं, मैं हिंदू हूं और हिंदू ही मरूंगा. But my point is, मुझे भी, I want dignity. I want to be treated with dignity. And I'm not going to ask for the annihilation of the faith system of my ancestors. He says that very clearly. So you start with diversification of the Dalit discourse. You present all of those aspects. It was not a one-man movement at all under any circumstances. And considering the diversity in this country, the caste reality or the Varna reality of a particular part of Maharashtra cannot be the reality of the rest of the country. Everywhere it has changed. I'll give a straight-off example. Rabindranath Tagore comes from the Brahmin community of Bengal, but he was a landowning Brahmin. That could be equally said of, let's say, perhaps certain significant portions of Kerala Nambudris. But Tamil Brahmins have not been landowning. Telugu Brahmins have not been landowning. Kannada Brahmins have not been landowning. So the myth that land bhi inke haath mein hai, dharm bhi inke haath mein hai, all of these aspects, first of all, don't apply across the country. This is the diversity of this land. Ownership of land, ownership of resources, the power politics, or let's say the hierarchy, changes from place to place. The decentralization and diversification of this discourse is extremely important. When you do that, then you'll have greater arguments to present saying that जब इतने सारे तथ्य हैं और इतने सारे facts हैं, why are we fixating on one particular individual? I'm not saying ignore that individual. I'm certainly not going to say that. But I am saying और भी लोग थे और हैं आज भी. That's it.